You think his marriage is the only thing that Andy Byron ran into the ground? Then I've got a funny story about karma for you. Before being Astronomer CEO, Andy Byron was also Chief Revenue Officer of a different software company where he hired a lot of hardworking, great people with high hopes for their careers by promising them the opportunity of a lifetime that would completely change their future, solve any financial worries their family or children might ever have.
It didn't start with fireworks. No fairy tale kiss, no slow motion romance moment. It started with something so small, so twitchy, that most people in the crowd almost missed it. A stiff little flinch. A hug that was just a little too tight. And just a little too long. And one Coldplay concert that, within hours, would crack open $1 billion empire and send its most powerful players fleeing like thieves in the night.
Employee accuses CEO Andy of being toxic, says former employees are cracking up over the video. The married CEO was caught on the big screen with the company's HR chief at the Coldplay concert.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
In the span of days, a CEO abandoned his throne. A high-ranking HR chief vanished from LinkedIn as if she'd never existed. And a wife, once the picture-perfect corporate partner, erased her husband's last name with such surgical coldness, the internet crowned her a legend. But here's the kicker. Insiders swear the Coldplay Kisscam moment wasn't the real start. Not even close. That viral clip, just the smoke. The actual fire had been smoldering for months, hidden in boardroom whispers, late-night conference calls, and encrypted Slack chats that no one outside the company was ever meant to see. And now, the leaks are just starting to drip. So let's rewind. The scene, a sold-out stadium. Coldplay's tearing up the stage. Yellow ringing out like a collective heartbeat. The kiss cam roams the crowd, picking off couples for quick grins and innocent PDA. Then, boom, it lands on two sharply dressed figures in prime seating. Andy Byron, CEO of Astronomer, one of the fastest rising AI giants in Silicon Valley. And Kristin Cabot, the company's chief people officer. For a heartbeat, the crowd smiles. The music swells. Cameras zoom. Kristin leans in. And Andy pulls back. Not in a jokey, oh I am on camera way. In a way that felt loaded. 15 whole seconds on the Jumbotron. Enough time for 40,000 people to collectively feel the vibe shift. Enough time for the internet to turn a hint of office romance into a corporate extinction-level event. Grace Springer, the TikTok user who would go on to detonate the story online, says she felt something off even before the internet caught fire. It was his reaction, she told followers. That's what made it weird. That flinch. And here's where it gets stranger. The TikTok wasn't just a random fan video. Whoever posted it knew exactly who these people were. They didn't just caption, CEO and HR chief caught on Kisscam. They spelled out Kristin Cabot's precise job title, confirmed both she and Andy were married, and slipped in a cryptic little grenade. Something much messier brewing behind the boardroom doors. That was no casual post. That was a surgical strike. And insiders say only someone inside Astronomer could have pulled it off. The internet went berserk. Within 72 hours, the clip racked up over 53 million views. Byron was gone. Kit's LinkedIn wiped. Astronomer's board scrambling to staunch the bleeding. And then, the whisper started. An anonymous former employee popped up on Reddit under a fake name, claiming this connection between Byron and Kit wasn't new. That it had been an open secret for months. That they were fired for knowing too much. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about a stolen moment at a concert. It was about favoritism, private emails, decisions that blurred personal lines and professional boundaries. And the question everyone wanted answered, how deep did this go? So far, no screenshots, no smoking gun, but Astronomer's leadership moved like the building was on fire. A statement appeared on LinkedIn, sharp, corporate, and dripping with subtext. Our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability. Recently, that standard was not met. To the public, it sounded like a moral stand. To insiders, it reeked of pure panic. And here's where it tilts into soap opera territory. Because if the board saw the train wreck coming, Coldplay night didn't expose anything. It confirmed it. Former staffers say Kit's hiring, barely 8 months ago, happened with suspicious speed. She skipped the usual hoops. And once inside, she seemed to bypass normal corporate lanes entirely. Showing up in meetings that had nothing to do with HR, product strategy calls, investor briefings, even board prep sessions. It felt like the company was being run by two people in their own bubble. One ex-employee posted, "The rest of us were just along for the ride." That quote, reposted over 10,000 times. The deeper people dig, the more it sounds like Kit had access to performance reviews, salary data, and veto power over hires. Perks well outside her lane. And while no hard evidence has leaked, rumor has it screenshots of those Slack threads still sit on company servers. One whisper, they might just end up subpoenaed. Meanwhile, Megan Carayon, Andy's wife, was finding out just like the rest of us. Through TikTok. No warning. No confession. And instead of rage posting or doing a tell-all, Megan made one single, deadly move. She scrubbed Byron from her name across all socials within 24 hours. No statement. No emojis. No cryptic quotes. Just a silent, surgical rebrand so cold-blooded that fans called it the most savage divorce soft launch in history. From there, the internet fully picked sides. #GoMegan started trending. People began begging her to drop a memoir. But inside Astronomer, it was full lockdown. All-hands meetings canceled. An internal gag order emailed out, ordering staff to forward all press questions to legal and to keep silent even in private chats. And yet, the whispers keep coming. Former employees claim they saw Byron and Kit together outside the office long before Coldplay night, at a San Francisco Tech Summit in May, at a charity gala weeks later. At the time, no one thought twice. Now, those coincidences are being rebranded as evidence. One of the spiciest theories, that the woman sitting next to Kit on Kisscam night wasn't a random friend. She was an assistant, brought as a human shield in case someone recognized them. If true, that would mean this wasn't bad luck. It was a botched cover-up. And that flinch, that was the moment it all collapsed. From here, the scandal stopped being just a viral clip. It became a full-blown governance crisis. Rumors of whistleblower reports, claims of NDAs and hush buyouts, an internal audit ballooning to investigate all of HR. And the internet, they're not calling it an affair anymore. They're calling it an abuse of power wrapped in HR policy with a stadium camera as the smoking gun. The IPO dreams, at risk. The brand, tarnished. And the two people at the center, silent. No apology, no denial, no anything. Which only leaves one question. How much worse is the part we haven't seen yet? But let's zoom out a second, because this mess hits triple points when you add investors, lawyers, and the bottom line. Investors are nervous. When a company's leadership implodes, so does confidence. Venture firms that once bragged about getting in early are now quietly asking for calls. Board members have been fielding frantic texts from major shareholders worried about valuation hits and potential covenant breaches. One investor, who asked not to be named, called this an existential threat to an IPO timeline. Legal teams are circling like sharks. Even without a smoking screenshot, allegations of preferential hiring and HR overreach are serious. Employment lawyers smell class action potential if there were systemic abuses. And if any of those whistleblower claims are true, especially around NDAs, quiet exits, or tampered performance reviews, this could become a governance nightmare with subpoenas, depositions, and months of headline-grabbing discovery. Employees are terrified. Imagine showing up to a Zoom and finding your job description has changed because someone with HR power decided so. Or being pushed off a project without explanation. Former engineers are posting about ghosting from managers and sudden role eliminations that coincided with Kristin's arrival. If even a handful of those stories check out, the cultural damage is deeper than a PR wipe. PR teams are in overdrive. Damage limitation scripts are being drafted at midnight. Statements are being vetted by 3 lawyers before anyone presses send. It's the kind of crisis that makes marketing pros sweat because once trust is gone, it's nearly impossible to rebuild quickly. And then there's the human angle, the people this is actually hurting. Interns who once dreamed of joining a fast-moving startup now have their resumes stained by association. Mid-level managers who raised concerns say they were ignored, then sidelined. Boardroom tempers reportedly flared as long-held loyalties were tested, and the company's moral center suddenly looked shaky. Meanwhile, social media detectives are doing their thing. They're combing through old images, cross-referencing timestamps, and piecing together a timeline like detectives reconstructing a heist. A blurry gala photo here, a timestamp conference badge there, connections forming into a map that looks damning when viewed from the right angle. And yet, the most maddening part is the silence. Byron and Kit's absence from the public conversation is deafening. Is it legal strategy? NDAs? Embarrassed silence? Or is it something darker? A calculated PR blackout designed to weather a storm until the headlines die down? Either way, the vacuum breeds speculation. And speculation fuels clicks, which fuels more speculation. It's a self-licking cycle of outrage that in the digital age can hollow out a company's reputation overnight. So what's next? Expect a slow drip of leaks or a tidal wave. Insiders hint that more videos, messages, and emails are waiting in the wings. If those Slack threads surface, we're not talking about a smear campaign. We're talking about documents that could change the narrative from embarrassing to actionable. This is where governance meets gossip. And when whispered allegations turn into legal papers, the fallout spreads beyond boardrooms to investors, clients, and the everyday employees who trusted a brand they believed in. Keep watching, because this story is far from over. And when the receipts drop, the fallout could rewrite the rulebook on power, favoritism, and HR in tech. Drop your take in the comments. Smash that like button. Subscribe for more breaking celebrity corporate scandal. Share this with friends. I'll see you on the next one.